Do you want to learn to be a wordsmith?
Not really. Not really. I don't want to be, uptight with words. Personally,
that's not what I said. I said be a wordsmith.
This is exactly what I mean. This is like, I'm like, did my brain, who I already tried to get my brain to calm down.
Hey, welcome to the podcast.
No, what I was thinking.
No, we're starting.
I was thinking, or we're starting. Okay.
Welcome to the podcast.
Welcome to the podcast, the greenhouse. So I was thinking we need some cool, we need like a tagline, like a lot of podcasts have, where they say,
guys,
"Hey,
there is a tagline.
Okay,
it's a podcast to help us grow together.
Okay,
it's on the graphic.
The greenhouse. Hey, welcome to the greenhouse, a podcast to help us to grow together. But who's us? Is that the gathering, or is that?
That's why it's
I think it's
gathering greenhouse. See, I noticed last week when I was watching the tomfoolery that went on that you were calling it the greenhouse, but it's supposed to be the gathering greenhouse.
Okay. I wasn't aware that the gathering...
Hey, welcome to the podcast.
The gathering greenhouse, a place to connect.
That was good.
That's not the tagline.
He changed it.
That's not the tagline.
No. Oh, what's the tagline?
A place to grow together.
A podcast to help us grow together.
Help us grow together. Can we not say help, though? Can it be like equip?
You came up with this.
Do you see what I mean here? Do you see what I mean?
You can change it. It was your idea.
This is the process of wordsmithing. Is you take each word.
I'm just gonna go like this right now.
And then you say, is there a better way to say this than that word? And see that now we're just picking on my tagline because apparently I wrote it.
Yeah.
Right. And I used the word help, which is an okay word. But is there a better word that more precisely defines what we want to do? That's maybe a little more action oriented. Yeah. And I think equip maybe is better now that I think about it.
If you could literally see the like text bubble come out, it would literally go in one ear and it would come out the other right now.
Hey, welcome to the podcast.
Right, I value in authenticity. Ooh, that was hard to get out.
That's because you're being authentic.
Yeah,
it's not value authenticity.
Not
There's
rehearsed.
No script. No rehearsal.
Script. I mean, you got to have that kind of like. I feel like a greenhouse is kind of the perfect place for authenticity because you take something authentic, you put it into the greenhouse, and you kind of prune it, you kind of water it, you give it the right amount of sun and nutrients, and it can grow into something great. Yeah. Now, if you just want to be 100% wordsmith, and then you've taken something, created it yourself, and put it in the greenhouse. You put a lot of thought and effort.
I was with you till the end.
Okay, that's it. By the way, speaking of greenhouses, I went to. It had to be. I'm not a. Are we going? Is this all?
We're just rolling.
Okay. I said welcome to the podcast.
Okay, well,
welcome to the podcast.
Welcome to the podcast. I mean, you said it so many times. I thought we were joking. But anyway, I was going off on a tangent here. I promise I'll keep it short. I went to the Sarasota Selby Marie greenhouse, which is actually like it's a whole like arboretum area in Sarasota, and I don't know if it's one of the best in the world. I would say that it probably is.
Wow.
How definitive is that for you?
Wow.
It probably is.
It was probably one of the best in the world.
It's clearly one of the best I've been to, but I haven't been to a lot. But their greenhouse blew my mind. Because of I love creation, I love nature, and going somewhere like that and seeing something that's like, this is the greenhouse. When you talk about like the difference between a garage and a greenhouse, like a greenhouse is very controlled.
It's the difference between a garage and a meadow.
Well, there's a greenhouse in there too.
That's where we merge the garage and the meadow. Okay. Is the greenhouse.
Well, I feel like the greenhouse, this one is like everything was perfect. I could not find a flaw.
Did it have
in the
like
plants.
really big leaves?
It had everything. It had,
that's my favorite.
So it had
like
plants.
The bigger the leaves, the better.
Yeah, it had that. It had like dripping water. It had stained glass in there. It had everything. It was crazy, but it was such a perfect environment. It had plants like hanging like this that the roots were like not in any soil. They're just hanging. They just get the moisture from the air. And the roots even look perfect.
Could we do that with these plants?
We could. We absolutely could.
They get
They're totally real.
So I am the host today, and I have some hosty.
Welcome to the podcast.
I have some hosty type questions this morning.
We're going to the questions already. You don't have a fun game for me? After all that talk last week about how David needs to come to the podcast and have some fun and loosen up and smile
David's gonna hate
a little
this
bit
right
more.
now. I'm trying to loosen him up.
And I came ready today to have fun.
He got angry.
I thought this is going to be great. We're going to have so much fun. I'm going to be excited. I'm going to make Steve happy because I'm excited about his game. And now there's no game.
David, I care about you as a person beyond a boss and someone and my pastor and someone who's at the church, because I care about everybody at the church. I care about you as a person. So I want you to be happy too.
Wow.
As we're doing this. And I don't want you to have a bad experience while you're here. So I do care about it. I take your feedback and I take your criticism and I try to make changes to help you be your best.
Wow.
So I think also beyond that, I don't know how much people enjoy us just like rambling. I'm not sure. That's why I want to try a different.
Two weeks ago, I'd say about 94 people did.
Enjoyed our ramblings.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay. So I want us to be a broad audience podcast. Like I'd love for us to reach more people.
Okay.
So I think, in my head, I'm trying different things to see what is effective.
So we should maybe talk about things that more
John,
people
do you agree with
want
this?
to hear.
We got to get John on tape now that we have a new setup. Do you agree with trying different things and seeing what sticks?
I think you try a bunch of stuff, see what sticks, but you got to not do the things that didn't stick before.
Right. But I don't know if we know yet. I don't know if we have enough data to say.
I think we know a little bit.
John knows.
Stick.
Yeah.
Okay.
Don't stop letting people not help.
Don't stop. Okay. Anyway.
Not everybody's going to understand that joke, but there are a few people out there, and you know who you are, that you know exactly what I just said. Don't stop letting people not help. That's right. Some people know.
Okay.
Not everybody knows.
Anyway, so I thought we would talk about a trending topic because I think those are the things that, like, it's nice to have your voice in that and maybe throw in my 2 cents here or there. I don't know if people care about my 2 cents or not sometimes, but
with inflation, that's really not worth anything anymore.
It's really not worth much. I actually asked. So my daughter's 8. And she was with a friend and they found a penny,
nice.
And they got super excited about it.
Yeah. Well, of course.
And I, this is where my mind automatically goes. Cause I'm an observant person. Do you think that? Am I observant, David?
I think you think you are.
Okay. Well, I'm maybe observant in quirky ways, but
no, you do notice funny things.
Okay. So when they found the penny and they got excited about it, my mind immediately went to, why are they excited about this? Because what can you do with the penny? And we decided the only thing you can use a penny for is to throw it into like a pond and make a wish. That's literally all pennies are good for.
But if the wish comes true, then it was worth a lot.
It was. Do you think wishes come true?
That's what Disney says, right? Only if you wish upon a star.
Yeah.
And isn't that how the song goes?
But a dream is a wish your heart makes.
This is another one of those lies from Disney.
Do you know what else a penny is good for, though?
You're not really wishing on a star because a star is just a sun. So you're really wishing on a shooting star.
No, that's not true.
Well, what's a star?
The sun is a star. That doesn't mean that all stars are suns.
What would you call them then?
Stars.
There's a name for them.
Okay.
Stars.
Well, but aren't they just a sun for a different?
I don't know. I don't think all of them are.
So they might just be by themselves.
Some of them are lonely.
Yeah. And I could probably talk about this for hours because there's a lot of thoughts I have lots of thoughts on this.
Real quick. Hot take.
Yeah.
Pluto. Should it be a planet or were they right to not make it a planet?
Absolutely. It should be a planet.
Yeah, it's a planet.
It's a planet.
100%.
Yeah, it's a planet.
It should
sure.
be a planet.
It's like, they're like, it's
Plus,
so
it's got
small.
the best planet name other than Uranus.
Saw that one coming
Uranus.
a mile away.
Other than that one, I think you have a hard time finding a better. Number 3 comes in at Saturn, I would say. That is the 3rd best planet name.
Mercury. Mercury's
I think
fun.
still think Saturn is better, but mostly maybe because I'm thinking I love the rings.
Jupiter's fun to say.
Too big.
Jupiter.
It's too big. It's too big of a planet. It's boring.
What?
It's too big. It's huge.
It's the coolest looking.
I would argue
like
that Saturn
marbles,
is way cooler.
Like the marbles that look
rings.
like Jupiter were the best marbles.
And why did we get gypped on the amount of moons? Like some planets have like 3 moons or, like Saturn. I don't know how many.
So Steve, if we had any more moons, none of us would exist.
I have a question about the moon. All right. So I was outside the other day. I don't know where the moon
By the
is
way,
in its
this was
phases
not
right
my
now.
tangent. Audience, everyone listening, this was not my tangent.
But here's my question about the moon. So when you look up at the sky, right? And
Yes.
sometimes you see the whole moon.
Uh-huh.
And then sometimes you don't see the whole moon. So when the moon shifts from like one half and then you can see the other half, do all the people who live there have to move to that other half?
To
they
live
don't,
on the
fall
moon?
out?
That live on the moon?
Yeah.
Well, there's no one that lives on the moon.
How do you know?
No. I saw a movie.
I believe
there are
NASA.
moon Nazis. That's where they went.
We are so far afoot.
I'm not a big conspiracy theorist. Yes.
This is the
Matt says yes. We didn't give Matt a camera,
Pretty sure there's an
microphone.
old man.
or we didn't give him a microphone, or he doesn't have his phone with him today. Either that or it's
wanna
on
know-
his little cool little
I
stand.
want to look at the stats.
He's looking very cool right now. He's got a tab. Oh, well.
I want to see the stats for this podcast and see how many people made it through the first 10 minutes.
Here's the thing. I had a really good
I can
question.
tell you all that.
I had a really
I'm pretty
good and
sure
valuable
At this point, we
lead-in
are
question.
talking to no one.
I
So,
know.
all right. So listen,
Which makes me sad because I was
if you're
excited
watching
about.
the podcast right now, if you've made it this far, you need to right now go into the comments and say, I made it this far. I want to see if we get 10 comments of people who actually type in, I made it this far. I bet we don't. I bet we have run them
Why do we
all
need to
off.
make it that just put up I made it?
No, I made it this far.
Well, what's the difference between I made it and I made it this far? I
It
don't
shows
think
their
anyone.
commitment to typing.
Okay,
Yeah.
that's fine. I mean, overkill in my opinion. But can we talk about what I was hoping to talk about?
Yeah, sure.
Do we have
all the
or we
time
need
in
to
the world.
get into questions?
Nobody's listening
No
anymore.
one's listening. Well, I did have some. I had a.
I mean, we do have staff meeting at 11.
Yeah.
So
Well, I'm not really gonna get.
it's 10 to 10 right now while we're filming.
I'm not gonna get the flow of the podcast like I was hoping for. That would.
Shocking.
So I might go to just plan B, and then next week I might try what I was going to do. And
Why don't you just float it like a Chinese weather balloon?
Yeah, I could do that.
We'll either let it go or we'll shoot it down.
I like the shooting.
I mean,
down.
we want people to have watch time. We watch that thing
here's
for like
what
a week.
I picture them shooting. How I picture them shooting down. I have no idea how they shot it down.
That guy
Airplanes.
had a straw and he put a
No,
little needle in it.
I don't picture that because the only reason they shot it down was to make a statement, right?
We're
out of my-
teetering on the edge of getting political, but
We
yes,
are.
correct.
We are.
Yes,
I
sure.
picture them. This is like the brain power in Washington sits down and they're like balloons.
He said
What do
brain
we-
power in Washington.
Right. You take that how you want to. You take that how you want to. I meant it that way. So they sit down in a meeting, right? They have
Right.
I don't know if it's their staff meeting or maybe they have a balloon meeting specifically. They throw it
Wait,
on Slack.
Is
Guys,
this
we're getting
the tangent you wanted to go off on?
No, it's not.
Okay.
It's not. I have thrown the tangent out the door. I will come back to it next week. Little
So
anticipation.
this is the
teaser.
tangent to the tangent.
No, it's not. This is going nowhere. But I see them sitting down and they're like, okay, we got this balloon in the air. We're sure it's from China because it says made in China underneath it, as all things that are made in China have. And they're like, okay, we need to shoot this balloon down. Okay, we need to set a clear mesh. And someone's like, I don't know if we should shoot it down or not. That's kind of mean. And they're like, okay, let's talk about it. And then they're like, well, what are the pros and cons of shooting it down? Are we going to make China angry? What about the people in the U.S.? Are we going to make them angry if we don't shoot it down? What about North Korea? What about...
I'm about to shoot your word balloon down.
and then finally they're like, okay, let's shoot it down. Okay. They've gone through that discussion. They're like, okay, how should we shoot it down? Should we go and pull the plug on it and let it like, I can't make the balloon noise.
So it's like,
Should we just pull the plug and let it do that funny thing in the air? Or should we, ratings are going down. Our ratings are going down as we're talking about this. So then I'm like, I
Like
think,
the balloon.
okay. So then they finally are like, come to the decision. Let's say that Biden steps in and he's like, we need a show of force. Like we need it. Yeah. And he pounds his fist. Guys, shut it.
Careful, you don't want to buy
He's like, shut it, everybody. I'm the commander in chief here. Okay. We are going to shoot this down. I will scramble some F-18s. I don't even know if that plane exists. We're going to scramble them. I want
somebody get Maverick.
Get Maverick. Yeah. Call out.
Tom Cruise.
Get Tom Cruise. You get him out of his cryogenically frozen chamber. Someone wake him up. Put some makeup on him.
Really loud.
Make sure his hair's dyed perfectly. We want him to look good for camera. And we're going to scramble a jet. I want the best. Okay. Y'all, whatever missiles you've been developing, it's time to put those to use. Okay. Whatever the craziest Wildcat missile you got, put it on there because we're shooting it down with that. Like it's going to shoot and it's going to break into 10 missiles and then all hit the balloon. Bam. Like not a nuclear explosion because that's dangerous, but as close, close as we can get.
Wildcat missiles, not
as close as we can get to a nuclear missile without actually doing that. And
so that's how you think it happened.
That's how I think it happened. Yes.
I'm going to stick with the straw and a needle.
Now, I did see a picture of them like pulling the balloon out of the water, and it looked intact. So I'm guessing that they
probably pulled the plug.
And it made that funny like fart noise. All right. Well, I had some good stuff here. We won't talk about it. I have enough for 2 podcasts.
Well, we definitely didn't use good stuff today.
No, we didn't.
That was not.
I hope you can make some good shorts out of this. So.
I think that's about all we'll be able to do.
All right, I have some questions.
I think if you put the Chinese balloon in the title, that's gonna track.
We might get demonetized or not monetized. That's the joke. But
why not? I mean,
because we can't get 10 comments. That's why.
Because we can't even get 10 comments. No, you have to have a lot of viewership. It's not like back in the day.
We're actually getting pretty close. So
if you're still watching, time to comment again. This time, I want you to comment how you think they shot the balloon down. Did Tom Cruise do it? Did they pull the plug? Or did they use the needle and straw? You tell us what you think.
Or was it all facade and it was just space aliens?
It's too tiny. It's not going to penetrate the balloon.
Oh, sure. Good shot. Yeah. I have no idea what he just said.
No, I'm saying it was all just a distraction because it's really the UFOs and the space aliens are coming. And they're infiltrating our flat Earth atmosphere.
Messaged me. It might have been you, John. I don't know who messaged. No, it wasn't. I think it was
like
Ernie Espinoza, maybe on Facebook, mentioned how there were like 4 or 5 like huge disasters. The train in Ohio. That's something we could talk about too. The chemical train that caught on fire. There was in Florida a huge plastic factory caught on fire or something like that.
There was another fire in Ohio yesterday.
More space aliens.
See, look at this. There's so much content
I think we just know more than we used to know because of the prevalence and speed at which information flows.
Yeah.
I think this stuff's always happened. But can we please redeem the time?
Okay.
I cannot believe I have devoted a half an hour. Oh my goodness. You're going to get the old David now. No more fun, David.
No more fun, David?
No more fun,
That was fun, David.
Okay. So what's the deal with the new service? David, could you expand on that? I know we've had a lot of communication out there. And I just want to say you've done a great job at getting the word out.
Thank you.
And I have been impressed. I am usually impressed when you communicate things.
We don't do bonuses for 10 more months. So.
I think you are an excellent communicator, and I have learned a lot from you in communication. I will say to my team, I made a couple snafus, so I'm going to apologize to the connections team. But I was on vacation while I was doing it, so my head wasn't in it. I sent wrong links. I literally sent a wrong link to my cafe team and a wrong link to the connections team. I swapped the links on them, and there was a lot of confusion. So I'm going to apologize again, which I've already apologized for. But So could you tell us? I'm making it about me, and it's about you, David. Tell us about what's the deal with the new service.
It's
No,
about
for
the,
this.
It's
I'm
about
just
the
saying for this.
greenhouse.
It's about the greenhouse.
church. It's
about
about
you.
the new service.
Yeah.
So the new service, we're adding the service at 8:15.
Yeah.
And that starts on April 2nd. And that's going to be a pretty much the same service as the other two, but with a little bit of a vintage twist.
Okay.
I'm not going to explain that right now.
Yeah.
But just basically means we're going to tweak a few things in the service to make it feel a little bit more vintagey. So we're going to keep sending out emails about this. We'll post some stuff. But really the next big thing is on March 5th, we're going to have an all-church summit at 6 p.m.
Yeah.
So that's your chance to come out, talk a little bit more, learn a little bit more. And we're now in the process of just kind of gearing up, getting ready to go.
Yeah. Can I ask one question about the all church meeting before you move on with that? Did I break your train of thought?
No.
I don't think you can break David's train of thought.
This train gets derailed a lot. I mean, we've been on weather balloons, we've been on planets, we've been on stars. I think you derailed the train.
Well, I think this question is important.
Okay,
that's why. So the all church summit.
Yep.
We know that the people who are like our diehards here at the gathering, they come to everything. We know that they're going to be there.
Yep.
Who I want you to talk to for a second is the person who's, a little skeptical about third service, but they don't really normally come to these kind of meetings. So if I am a little bit uneasy about third service, I'm not really sure. It's a big change for the church. It's something very different. Maybe I feel a little bit which direction is the church going in? Should I come to this meeting if that's the way I'm thinking? Is this meeting for me? Because those are the people that I wonder about, getting them the right information they need.
Well, for starters, I'm not sure they're still watching.
I don't think so either.
But yeah, I think this is really for anybody. And if, you got questions, you want to learn a little bit more, I think these meetings are always good to come to because they help you get a feel for the church. I know in other churches, they do congregational business meetings and they are not fun. They're awful.
Do they have Robert's rules?
They follow Robert's rules of orders.
Oh my gosh,
and, I have a motion from the floor. I second the motion. All in favor say aye. We don't do that kind of stuff.
I could never be in that.
Yeah. Ours is much more of kind of like a family talk. Yeah. But it's a good opportunity just to kind of learn a little bit more. I mean, even just to meet some people and get to know other people.
Will there be music like the last time?
Yeah, I don't know. Will there be music?
Maybe.
Definitively, maybe.
I figured we figured that out today. So
yeah. So there might be.
We'll let you know.
Yeah.
To be determined.
Yeah, to be determined. So that's the next big thing. And so our big task at this point is to wrangle up what we're calling service champions.
Yeah. Can you talk a little bit more about that?
I can.
Because I read your communication on it. I'm still a little bit fuzzy on why do we need that?
Yeah. So number one, I'm thinking about changing the name.
Okay.
I think it might be more fun to call them Weekend Warriors.
Oh.
Yeah?
Wait.
What?
Weekend Warriors.
What is that? I've heard that term before.
It's a term that gets thrown around a lot.
But I feel like it's like do it DIYers.
Yeah,
Weekend Warriors.
Yeah, they are.
Is that where Home Depot kind of coined that term?
But it's just kind of
John's shaking his head.
I think
Matt is totally lost. He lives in an apartment. So he doesn't.
No
he's like
weekend warring for him.
He's like Home Depot is where my dad goes to.
Matt just calls his maintenance guy.
Stuff, yeah.
So anywho,
no.
Yeah. Regardless of whether we change the name or not. So here's the point: is we want our church to be a place that feels comfortable and welcoming. And so that anybody who comes through those doors for the first time on a Sunday, we want them to experience a place, an environment that is comfortable and welcoming.
Yeah.
And so your team. Well, no, let me just keep going here.
Well, I need a clarification.
Sorry. Here we go.
I need a slight
is
clarification.
Pluto a planet?
I need a slight.
How they shoot down the balloon?
I apologize.
Is bacon better than ham?
Once again, my mind is going somewhere where I don't think you want it to go. But when you say anyone who comes through our doors, is that are we specifically talking about new people, or are we talking about literally anyone? So whether you've been here since day one, because I feel like those people, we may want them to say, hey, what's like this decision is maybe not the best decision. May not be your preference, but hopefully your preference is for people who don't know Jesus or aren't comfortable with the gathering. You know what I mean?
Yep. So we want our environment to be comfortable and welcoming for everyone. Right now, how that looks is different, and I would say like there's a diminishing impact the longer you're here. So your first Sunday here, we are all in, and we want it to be comfortable and welcoming for you. Right. That is a huge goal.
We
for
care
us.
About that. Yeah. So we have a lot of systems in place.
Yeah. So your team does a lot of things to make sure that happens. You got the New Here station.
Yeah.
You got a team of people who will show people around. Our kids check-in is designed for that. Everything is designed for that. Now, your second time back, we still want it to be super comfortable, super welcoming, but it's going to feel a little bit different because you're already there. Now it's starting to be a little more familiar.
Right.
And I think the more familiar you become with the church, the more we want you to shift from being someone who just feels comfortable and welcomed to being someone who's making it comfortable. And so you're not just a receiver, you're a contributor.
Yeah.
And so over time, that shift should happen until, people who have been here for 6, 7, 8 years, even 2 or 3 years, they ought to be much more of a contributor than a taker when it comes to our environment.
Yes.
So all that to say, our service champions, their goal is to kind of just informally be cultivating this kind of an environment. So they don't have a specific job description. They don't get scheduled. Basically, it's, hey, when you're here, when you're at church, you're working to make this a comfortable and welcoming place. And so we have some guidelines, and we're not going to get into those because we got more questions. But that's the main idea is they're cultivating a comfortable and welcoming environment.
Will they, if someone wants to be a service champion, will they have some kind of training that takes place?
They will. So we're going to do training in March, and so as we begin to collect our list of people who are service champions. We'll be setting that up, but we'll do just a 1-day training. But again, because it's such an informal thing, there's not a ton of training that's necessary.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, we made it through question number 1. That's
well done.
That's an accomplishment.
Should we skip some of those questions?
Do you want me to?
Well, I'll let you pick.
If we skip some,
you do it.
John, how are we doing on time?
We've been going.
We're good.
We're good. It feels like an eternity.
You said that last time, and that hurt my feelings a little bit.
Okay.
Because you were with me for that time, and I was the one who was making you do those things. Okay. Why was Samson such an idiot?
Yeah, great question, right?
I got to talk about Samson too, and I know you watched the podcast, and I thoroughly enjoyed talking about Samson. I don't know if you enjoyed watching me talk about Samson.
You know what? I thought you did a really good job.
Wow, thank you. I appreciate that.
So
are you saying this because we're on camera right now? Or
no, I said it on Sunday from the pulpit.
Oh, okay.
Pulpit.
The pulpit. That's hilarious.
No,
What is pulpit?
Yeah. I said it
now
on Sunday.
Now we need a pulpit that you said. We get one of those like huge pulpits, probably with a cross on the front.
I'm down. Yeah.
I think so you can pound on something.
We should put a platform up in one of the corners so I can look down on everybody and sinners in the hands of an angry God them.
Yes. So
all right.
Got you off top.
Yeah. So Samson was an idiot.
Yeah,
for sure. And we don't need to go into detail. I think the main reason that Samson was an idiot and the reason he's in the story is part of it is because it's a warning to us. Obviously, don't be like Samson. But I think as we're going to discover this Sunday, Samson's idiocy just creates a bigger platform for God's glory. Because when God does great works through dumb people, he has to get the credit. And that's what's going to happen with Samson, is at the end of the day, God's still going to work through him, despite his idiocy, despite the fact that he never really comes around, which just says to us that, God is good even when we are not.
I think that gives us a lot of hope too.
Oh, tons of hope. Yeah. So I'm excited about Sunday.
Because I feel like an idiot a lot. So if I feel like an idiot
not a lot.
Okay. If I feel like, man, like I really need Jesus in my life regularly, I think one path to go down is like, how can God ever use me? If I feel this way, but then when you start reminding yourself, well, look at Peter. He was a fool a lot of times. Yep. Look at Samson. Look at David, who is a man after God's own heart.
Yeah.
I have not done anything nearly as bad as what David has done. Not that I need to compare myself to anyone,
right?
But I feel like there's a lot of hope in that God uses unordinary people to do extraordinary things.
Yep.
That was almost a Davidism there.
I didn't know there was such a thing.
Well, you like your wordsmithing.
I do like to wordsmith, but
unordinary to extraordinary. You don't like that.
I kind of like it. I'm not sure about the unordinary.
I know. Well, I knew you would have.
I think we need to play with that. Although
this was off the cuff.
Yeah, it was pretty good.
Okay. It's like
it was parallel. It was parallel. So that was
Craig
nice.
Groeschel or Andy Stanley.
That's
Andy
what we should do sometime. Is we should do impressions.
Okay, Andy Stanley takes it too far, in my opinion.
Let's not.
Far.
Let's just. Not.
I know. I shouldn't get you started with this. Okay,
so
we're gonna.
We've already done a whole bit on Joe Biden.
What are you saying about Joe Biden? I'm not gonna
I didn't say anything. Okay. You did.
Okay. Here's a question. This question comes from Matt. He was curious.
This is from Matt in Burbank, California. Hi, Matt.
It's not, because he's just the only single person in the room right now. That's why I'm picking on Matt. Now he's perking up because he's wondering what the question is going to be. If I'm in a dating relationship, how do I know if it's a distraction or not? Matt, is this something you would be interested in hearing? Yeah. No, he doesn't care.
You know what? I actually got this question on Sunday.
He needs to know. Listen, Matt, you need to listen in. Put those headphones back on. Take some notes.
I think people hear the story of Samson and Delilah, and there's obviously some relationship undertones there. Yes. And there's like this panic button that goes off of, am I dating Samson or am I dating Delilah? And
I mean, Samson seems like he'd be this buff, attractive dude, but
yeah, but he's kind of like Kronk from The Emperor's New Groove. So I'm not sure that's so great. All right. So I'll just do the question. And it's not just about a dating relationship. It's anything. There's nothing wrong with relationships. God created us to be in relationship, right? And dating is part of that process towards marriage. And marriage is a really good thing. It's something that God created in the garden before sin. So it's one of the best things.
Yeah.
So the question is, how do we take the good things of God and make sure they don't become bad things?
Right.
Because that's the danger. And I think it's really, to go back to our last sermon series, it's a matter of priorities. So is in this relationship, when I'm with this person, am I better able to love God and love others? Or is it more difficult for me to love God and love others? Mm-hmm. In this relationship,
like, is this bringing me closer to God or drawing me further away? I feel like that's the same kind of concept.
It is. Yeah. So another way to think about it would be, does this person help me do more for the kingdom of God?
Right.
Or do they distract me from the kingdom of God?
Beyond the religious aspect of it or the relationship aspect, is this person making me a better person or not? Like, is it hurting my relationships that I have?
Yeah.
Or not?
Yeah. And then, that obviously then you go down a path of all kinds of advice and whatnot. But I think the big thing to remember is in life with God's good gifts, balance is always important. Mm-hmm. And when anything rises to the top priority in our life and gets above God, then it becomes problematic. And honestly, it's not just dating. This happens in marriage. And I think parents struggle with this. How do I parent my kids and love my kids? And I want to disciple my kids, but I don't let my kids become an idol in my life. And I think there is that danger. So you just have to watch your priorities.
Very true. Very good wisdom. And I feel like Proverbs is one of those books that the more you read it, the more you memorize it, the more you can make those good decisions.
So that's a great segue to pitch an upcoming sermon series.
Okay, let's hear it.
So
I want to hear the pitch.
It's not till after Easter.
Is it going to be Proverbs?
So yes. So starting in May, we're going to do a sermon series. It's going to stretch from Mother's Day to Father's Day. All right. And the title of the sermon series is How to Raise a Serial Killer.
Okay.
All right. So that going to be awesome or what? How to raise a serial killer.
Lots of questions.
Like Cocoa Puffs?
Parenting wisdom from Proverbs. So it's going to be awesome.
Shouldn't it be how not to raise a serial killer?
It's more fun to say how to raise one.
Okay. All right. Stay tuned.
Make a great church sign.
So somebody has to ask, how does David know?
Do you have any serial killers in your family?
You know what? I'm gonna actually probably the first or second week of the series talk about why I picked that series, and so I'll explain it then.
Okay. just you haven't raised any serial killers personally.
I'll talk about it then.
Okay. To be continued. Okay. All right. Moving on to my questions here. What can someone do if they want to be less distracted in life?
I want to throw it back at you.
Okay.
So we were talking this morning,
Yeah.
right, about vacation.
Uh-huh.
And you and others in this office who also have microphones during this podcast.
Yeah.
We're both talking about how you struggle when you go on vacation to really unplug from church stuff, right? And I'm guessing that's pretty common. People, who have, jobs that they really love, they have a hard time unplugging from it. So what was my advice on that?
Well, I'm not going to.
You don't remember?
No, I remember. I just don't know if I'm going to say it.
I'm not.
No. I heard you.
The key is not to focus less on church, but focus more on something else. Pretty much, right?
Kind of. Well, that's close. Yeah.
No, he said, just don't do it.
Just don't do it.
I did say that too. I said don't. It's a choice.
Right. It's a choice. Right. So that's along the lines. And yes, I 100% believe that. And that is yes, I would love to just be able to say to my mind, stop it.
Mm-hmm.
But it's like, it's a subconscious thing. My mind wanders and we don't want to get into my personal life, on here, but it is something that that's not the only area of my life that I struggle with. That John has diagnosed me with ADHD.
I did.
Actually, he said I don't have it, but
I
I'm
don't think
not a doctor.
overactive. I definitely have an overactive brain. It's hard for me to shut that off.
I just think you can't decide if you want to be Gen X or millennial, and so you waffle between the
two. Well, I literally am in between. I was born.
You go from slacker to self-absorbed and back to slacker.
It's hard to be any closer to in between than where I was born.
Right. You're right on the line. You're like Delilah in the Valley of Sorek.
I'm in between.
All right. Anyways,
I get both generations making fun of me.
So the other thing on this question is be present.
Yeah.
Right. Be present where you are. And this is when you get to distractions and you talk about how not to be more distracted.
Yeah.
The key is to be present where you are. So wherever I am, it's so easy to let my mind wander somewhere else, right? And what I have to do is the moment I recognize that, hey, my mind is going somewhere where I don't want it to go.
Yeah.
That's when I have to make a choice and I have to choose. And it is a choice. So if I choose to either let my mind keep running off into the meadow to chase the butterflies, or to say, no, I'm on this path right now. I need to bring my mind back here. And, obviously there are some people who have an easier time with this than others. But that's really the key to avoiding distraction is to learn how to be present and choose to be present. So where I am right now is where God wants me to be, and he has something for me to do right here. And whatever's going off over there that's distracting me is not part of that. And so I need to not focus there. I need to focus on the next step in front of me. Easy to say.
Yeah.
But it's a discipline. It's a habit. And here's the thing about habits. If you never start, you'll never get there.
Yeah.
Right? You may have to start 100 times and start over and start over and start over. But if you never do, you'll never get there.
Yeah.
The only way you develop that is if you start and keep starting and keep starting.
Okay. So here's my question that goes along with that. Because I have been on a journey of calming my mind down for probably 5 years. I'm sure I know that you've heard me talk about just being more present.
Mm-hmm.
And, from time to time having issues in my own life where I'm like, my mind won't calm down. I can't stop thinking about these things. I need help because it's affecting my family. That's when I know it's a big problem for me. But I work at a job where it's not a 9-to-5 job.
Mm-hmm.
So it's hard for me to practice it throughout the week because if I want to get the things done that I need to get done in an average week, I can't just stop.
Yeah.
I have to work on other people's timelines.
Mm-hmm.
And I work with a lot of volunteers and I can't expect them to answer questions when they're working, so it's very hard for me to be able to practice that on a regular basis. I would love to. I've even talked to you before about saying hey, can I just turn things off? at this such and such hour, can I have more control over my work time? And I don't know where that conversation ever went, but I don't
you
think
started
it was
turning
possible.
things off because I was texting you like late at night trying to get you to do things and you weren't responding.
That was never happening. That wasn't happening.
No, and I think I remember, what's funny here is this podcast has gotten really good at the end, but nobody's going to see this part.
Is that true, John?
So.
He watches the analytics.
So
people watch to the end.
So I will say our analytics are exactly the same the last 4 episodes of how many people get to the end.
Well, we're going to learn something this time.
Around 30%.
Yeah. All right. So anyways,
it's not bad.
It's not bad for YouTube.
I know that you've worked a lot on time management type stuff because that's something you wanted to get better at for this very reason. And I think that's a great illustration of someone, learning how to do something that maybe didn't come as naturally. And this is really key for all of us in our own personal development is we all have to learn how to be the person we're not. What the world tells us is you be you, right? Lean into all of your strengths.
You be you.
And, don't let anybody tell you that you're not okay because you're okay and you're awesome just the way you are. And the truth is none of us are awesome just the way we are. We all have gifts and strengths, but we all have this whole other side of us that needs to be developed, right? Now, that's not time management for me. I'm like a robot with that, and it's uncomfortable for most people who are around me.
Yeah.
What it is for me is learning to be empathetic and learning to pretend like I have emotions so that, people feel like I have emotions and they feel like I care. And so I have to learn how to care. And that's important for me. And this may be hard.
I have to learn to care less.
Yes, exactly. So,
which sounds terrible. It sounds terrible.
You may not believe this.
Yeah.
Because you didn't know me before. I am way better at that than I used to be. Is that scary?
Having emotions.
Yeah. Yeah.
Is it scary?
I'm probably 200% better than I was maybe 15 years ago.
Okay.
But I'm still not not there.
You and I have dealt with a lot of things in the past 9 years that we've known each other. So I'm just thinking of all the situations, and I honestly think that you are excellent at the most difficult situations. You are right probably 95% of the time on situations where
I know what you mean.
Where it's like, how do we we're going to be wrong either way we come out on this one, and you handle it flawlessly.
No.
You do.
Sometimes. But it's the little stuff that I'm just like, I totally miss it.
Yes. I would say that.
Yep.
I would say that,
right.
yeah.
That's the whole point here is that all of us have to learn how to do those things we don't do well.
Yeah.
Because it's those things that distract us.
Right.
Right.
Well, I think this is a good example of the church in a whole, but our staff as well, of it's healthy to have staff members who think differently, act differently, who aren't afraid to foster
look differently.
Let's see. I'm looking at the two guys.
The problem here is everybody has a beard now.
Yeah,
and that's making me think.
You call what I have a beard?
It's making me think that what I need to do. I'm just kidding. is go
as I can get
rid of my beard and maybe go back to my goatee, but maybe
no,
but maybe get it down to here.
I'm not going to comment. I'm not going to comment on that.
Or white, probably not gray. Not gray. It'll be white.
Yeah, there is someone on staff who has a wild beard.
You're right. Yeah.
So I'm not going to make any comments.
I think
may have already said
an
too
appropriate
much.
beard is a well-groomed beard.
Matt.
So, yeah.
I like a groomed beard.
All right.
Too.
Are we done? I know there's another question.
One question. I feel like we got to your inner David here on this one, which
as close as you're ever going to get.
We don't get there often. Okay, what is the next sermon series? So we're in Samson right now, and I love Samson mostly because I got to take part in the Samson series. But I've thoroughly enjoyed it. What's next?
Yeah,
because there was a lot of skeptical people about Samson. When you said, hey, we're going to do Samson and we're going to have a study guide. It's going to be 4 weeks long. And they're like, what can we learn from Samson?
Yeah, I think it's been awesome.
I think it has been too. I love those Old Testament stories where you're like, what the heck can I learn out of this? Because now all of a sudden my brain turns on.
Right.
I'm not just listening. I've got all these questions.
Yeah. So let's do this. Before I tell you what the next series is, We really do have the whole year planned out right now, but I'm not 100% comfortable with some of the stuff that's further in the distance.
Yeah.
So we're going to give anybody who made it this far in the podcast a reward. All right.
What's the
reward? If you made it this far in the comments,
is this one of your games?
Tell us what you would like to see us do a sermon series on, and maybe we'll be able to do that later in the year. So they can be a topic or a character or a book of the Bible, anything you want. Let us know what would be a great sermon series you'd like to see us do. All right. So what's our next one?
Can I say one thing?
Yeah.
Because this just popped in my head. I went to a church one time in Florida, and they had a wheel, like a game wheel. They spun.
That's awesome.
And there were like questions all over the wheel. And whatever the wheel landed on was what he talked about.
Make it happen.
So
that's
but
awesome.
Here's the thing.
That's kind of what we're doing right now.
Here's the thing. I think you would do a really good job at that. But I definitely don't think that's for everybody. And I don't think it was for the guy who did it.
Oh.
And he had a really big church. It was like over 1,000 people when I was going there. But it was.
Wait, was this your old church?
So I lived in Florida for like 3 months when
Okay.
my family first moved there, because I was kind of deciding, am I going to end up in Florida? I didn't want to live in Ocala. Sorry, Mom and Dad. But Ocala is just not for me.
They stopped watching a long time ago.
I bet my mom watches the whole thing.
Oh, I'm sure.
But
she's going to comment. I love you, Stevie.
It was not for me. They love it. It's great for them, and I'm happy for them. Mom and Dad, I'm happy for you that you love where you live. That's a very good thing. Just wasn't for me at the time and place where I was in my life. And I went to this church while I was there because my sister went there and everything. But it was like there wasn't it's watching a movie without a plot. That's what it felt like.
All right. So anyway, here's the answer to the last question. Our next sermon series is called The Songs We Sing. Okay. It's going to be this really cool series. We've never done anything like it. Each week,
or the songs we've sung, if it's past
both.
tense.
It'll be both. It'll be both. But each week, we're going to take one of the songs that we sing in church, and we're going to talk about how it's rooted in Scripture. And then we're going to unpack the Scriptures and talk it through. And what that's going to do for us
makes so much more sense than what I was thinking.
Okay. It's going to, when we sing those songs from then on, they're going to have a whole new meaning, and they're going to be so much more rich.
I actually love that.
So I'm really excited about it. It's going to be a lot of fun.
So just to give everyone listening a context to why I was like, my brain was thinking something else. David was out of town
last week,
and I was preaching, and one of the people who's doing one of the sermons came up to me and be like, "Hey, Steve, are you doing one of these sermons?" David said it's on songs. Like we're picking a song, and I'm thinking like a pop song, and like then we're like playing it, and then you're gonna teach on it. I'm like, that could be cool, but only for a certain few people who could pull that off well. Because I've seen it like it was super popular. Well, it was that concept and idea was super popular in youth ministry for a while.
I did a Beyonce song this week.
Did you?
I did.
Okay.
Steve would only pick Rihanna songs.
Steve obviously has not watched last week's sermon yet.
No, I didn't. Like we said, I was trying to turn my mind off from church.
I did all the single ladies.
I did not.
Ooh, 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 ooh. Yeah.
Did the dance.
No. All right. Welcome to the podcast.
Welcome to the Gathering Greenhouse podcast.
I think we're done. I think we need to be done.
I think so too.
Okay.
So, all right. Hey, thanks for you're supposed to close this out. Like, thanks for watching us. That kind of stuff.
Thanks for watching us at the Gathering Greenhouse. Make sure you click like and subscribe.
Nice. Hey, good luck with that.